Hi. I am back and I have a really fun applique project that I will show you. I'm not going to run through the entire creation of everything, but I'm just going to show you some quick tips and tricks that I used for being able to work with an applique piece that has so many like rounded edges and be able to sew them easier. Um, and then also just show you the magic of sublimation if you ever wanted to get into that. So let's talk sublimation first. Um, I do have a download and it has 5 different ghosts prints. And I had this, I really wanted to make this sweater, but I didn't feel like going out and buying any fabric. So I decided to just sublimate my own prints onto a fabric, and that way they're all cohesive colors and all that kind of stuff. So I have this fabric left over, and I do highly recommend it if you want to do like little projects like this. This is actually a polyester, I think it's a brushed polyester sheet set that I got from Target, and I'll link it in the blog post. But when you buy sheet sets, sometimes if the price is right, it's so much cheaper to get so much yardage for almost nothing. I originally bought this back in 2020 when I was making a bunch of face masks and like custom designing different prints and things like that for it. So I have a bunch of this left over, and every once in a while I use it for a project, and this is one of them. So it's just a polyester fabric. As you can tell, it's really thin. You can see you can see right through it, but it sublimates beautifully, and it's kind of got like a soft hand to it, so it's nice to use. So we're just going to run over. I'm not going to go through the whole sublimation process with you, but I just will tell you that this sublimates beautifully, and I'm going to run to my heat press it real quick, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So this is straight off of my heat press. And I'll just show you how well all of this transfers over. Here it is. I think the color comes out beautifully on this fabric, and again, it's cheap. I wouldn't use it for, most sewing related items, but for little appliques or little projects, it's totally perfect for being able to utilize and get that color and put it onto a fabric nicely. So, and because it's sublimation, it is it's binded to the fabric. So this is what it is forever. It doesn't fade, it doesn't do anything. It is what it is. And you can see there's a little bit of ink left over, but that always happens with prints. So I think it looks really nice. And yeah, so if you want to use it this way, you can, and I hope you do, because I think all of the colors together look really cute. So if you are going the sublimation version, I would actually recommend not even cutting out your ghost pieces. Just save yourself a couple extra steps. I don't know, just save the hassle of you having to do that. So all you want to do is grab another piece of fabric and take your ghost piece and put it right side together, and grab some pins and just pin her in a couple of spots along the edges. And so this pattern piece is this applique piece is designed at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So with these together, all you're going to do is just sew 1/4 of an inch inside of this outer line here and to create your seam allowance, and then we'll cut it out after. It just kind of skips some steps. Why not make it easier on yourself if you can? So I'm going to go and sew this together. Now, I could lie to you and tell you that I used black thread so you could see it better, but it's really, I was just feeling lazy and didn't want to switch my thread out. So forgive me. But as you can see, I sewed it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to grab some sharp scissors. And since you can see it really well still, just cut out along the outer edge here. And just make sure you're not clipping through any of your stitching so your ghost stays together nicely. And this is what I really wanted to show you for my applique trick. Let's see here. Get around this bottom curve. I don't know why it's more awkward to cut on camera than off, but it just is. Okay, so we're going to trim that, and then I highly recommend taking a sharp pair of scissors and clipping into that little point and getting it as close to the stitches as you can without going through it, because that's going to help make your turns look all that much nicer. And just trim down any curve as much as you can. So again, it just sits really nicely. Okay, since we are putting this ghost onto a piece of fabric, I'll just grab my sweater here and show you on the back. Since we're doing that, we don't, and I didn't want to do a raw edge. I really wanted a clean edge for my applique, although I do like raw edge applique a lot. So this is my little trick for being able to do all these curves and turns without having to leave something open in order to turn it. So you can sew around the entire edge, and then what I'm going to do is on the side that is going to be down towards the fabric, I'm going to open this up real quick, and I'm going to carefully snip it so I don't go through both edges, but I'm going through, again, that back like lining fabric, I guess we can call it. And then we're going to open and push our fabric right side out through that opening. And if you are still a little skeptical, you'll see why I do this and why it totally works. And it's a great cheat to use. So you're going to want to press it. I do not have my iron on right now, so just imagine that I did all the things right. But here's our little guy. And now when we go to attach it and we sew all the outer edges, this open piece is going to be sandwiched inside, so it's never going to unravel. It's going to stay there. So we're hiding this opening anyway, but it's a nice way to be able to, you know, sew a more difficult shape, turn it right side out, and have all of the edges like neatly tucked away for you. So that's really just what I wanted to show you with this video, is that this is my little cheat for applique. I sew two pieces together, I do it all the way around it, and then I clip somewhere in the middle on the back lining piece, and then when I go to put it on, it's hidden and everything's tucked away nice and neat. I'll show you again on just a regular typical fabric that we can use with this applique piece if you're just using any random fabric that you have in your stash. So real quick, I just wanted to show you that the steps are all the same. If you're using a fabric that you did not print, you don't have to have a sublimation printer to do any of this. It just is something that I used. So here's the pattern piece, and I cut 2 pieces per ghost that you want. So I just have the one ghost here, and you're going to be placing the fabrics with right sides together, matching everything up. Oop. And then adding some pins or clips to the outside edge. So you can go ahead and sew. And once again, we are going to sew around the entire outer edge at 1/4 inch seam allowance. But we're doing, again, the entire edge. We are not leaving anything open. We're just going to go ahead and sew this entire puppy all the way around. And here we go with everything sewn up at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, since we already had this one pre-cut out, we will want to go back in. If you've got pinking shears, I would recommend using them here. I have mine, but apparently making this video today has made me super lazy and I don't want to go find them. So I'm just going to trim this down so my corners turn, or my rounded edges turn a little bit better. Obviously make sure you don't clip through your stitches. And when we get to these points, we are once again going to want to clip into them as much as we can without clipping through our stitches. And just like on the other version, we'll flip this over, and on like the lining piece here, pull it apart so you make sure that you don't clip through your main fabric. I'm just going to cut an opening. I'm going to turn my ghost right side out. Push everything out. If you have a turning tool, I would recommend using it. And afterwards, make sure you've got it all pushed out neatly. Give that a press. And here are my two ghosts. These actually kind of look cute together. I just picked a random fabric. But you can make as many or as few ghosties as you want to for this project. I considered hand stitching all of these down, but I ended up using my sewing machine because I thought it would be a little bit faster, and my husband was playing video games, and I just figured I had more time to play on my machine. So that's the direction I went. But you'll just want to place them down, and how I did it, I placed them how I wanted them, and I obviously had 5 on the first one, but let's say I just want to do these 2, and I do want to overlap them, but I didn't want to have to keep pulling these off and putting them back and trying to remember where I had them placed. So I actually just grabbed some pins, and like I placed, because you're going to want to, when they're layered like this, stitch around the entire bottom ghost and then the top ghost. So I just put a pin here to hold it where I wanted it, if this makes any sense to you at all. And then I just folded it back out of the way so I didn't accidentally stitch over it. And then that way I had full access to this ghost. And then once I had this one completely stitched around the outer edge, I just pulled this, put it back where it was, and then stitched around this one. So that way the whole thing got stitched, but I didn't have to keep like guessing where I liked it the first time, especially because I had 5 that I was layering. So if that helps a little bit visualize how you want to do it. But again, you can hand stitch them down. You can honestly, if you don't even want to have to, if you want this to be more of a no-sew project, you could just get like a fusible interfacing and fuse it on and call it good. However you want to do it. I just thought that the stitched version looked really cute, and then of course my button eyes. Here's just a quick close-up shot of the ghost all together. You can place them however you want. You can embroider the eyes on. I considered embroidering a little like open mouth on here too, but then ultimately I thought buttons would be cute, so it's just what I went with. So hopefully that helped a little bit with any questions you might have on applique, and just, you know, kind of like a cheater version of being able to get these rounded edges without having to, like, you know, figure out how to turn them neatly. It's the laziest way that I could come up with, and it's my favorite for when they are smashed down onto this fabric and you're never going to have that backside fray anyway, because they are locked in to the item that you've made or you've added it to. So I think these are super cute. I think part of the charm is to make them a little imperfect. Obviously you can tell I did not have a perfection level. My machine was getting caught in some spots, and instead of ripping the stitches, I just left them because I kind of thought it added to like the charm of this. But obviously if you're selling them or doing something else, you'd want to add a little more professionalism, but for this level, I think it was totally cool. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoy this. And I really, if you do end up making something, especially if you end up printing your own little ghost, I hope you share it with me, because I would just die to see what you made. So until next time, I will see you later.